Welcome to Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Rose Minahan and her panel of guests bring you insightful conversations to awaken consciousness for soul growth. Come journey with us through astrology's energetic cycles and get ready to understand your path in the cosmic roots of the stars.
Hello, everybody. I am Sue Minahan, Sue Rose Minahan. This is Talk Cosmos. And we are in the month of December at the very end of the calendar year, as we're aware. But the point that I really want to make is that this new moon that we're talking about is a very thoughtful new moon. It involves Sagittarius, which is always about our belief systems, and Mercury is toggling between past and present, refocusing, but it involves a big scope, our values and etc. And we'll talk about that in great detail because I have a wonderful guests with me as always on this panel. And I will say that we're reframing, and next year, Liz and Justin will be returning with me 6 times in the year and on new subjects. I don't know if I should announce. I'm announcing it now. Yes, it's happening. And so progressively, you will see some great new growth. We're all growing. We're all expanding. We're all refining and deepening and exploring what's meaningful. How does it all add up? And I have 2 wonderful people that really help it add up. So let's get to it. Right now, it is archetypal symbols, and we are ready.
Synthesizing the new moon consciousness through archetypal Sabian Symbols, numerology, lunar mansions, tarot, and astrology, all together illuminating a new moon vision story. This is your Archetypal Symbols panel.
I'm Sue Rose Minahan, founder of Talk Cosmos since 2018. I'm an evolutionary astrologer, consultant, speaker, writer, vibrational astrology student, Dwarf Planet University graduate, Kepler Astrology Toastmasters Club charter member. I have a fine arts music degree plus a certificate in jazz. I'm an artist, musician, and certified color energy life coach. Especially, I love mythology and esoteric philosophies.
I'm Elizabeth Liz Machette, a professional astrologer, intuitive, numerologist, and tarot reader. I'm a certified sacred healing counselor, providing nurturing, in-depth consultations for individuals and couples. I'm an author, blogger, speaker, and international Reiki master and teacher. I create safe space in which to explore the deeper patterns of your life, to clarify your current circumstances and help you find your best path forward.
And I'm Justin Crocodelsey, an archetypal Jyotish astrologer, yoga and meditation teacher, and author. I combine both Western ancient astrology and modern psychological astrology with Eastern Vedic astrology, and I specialize in predictive, electional, and karmic astrology for individuals and couples. I also do in-depth astrological research into arcane astrological concepts, focusing on the mystical, occult side of astrology.
Eleanor Roosevelt once said, "Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift." And that's why it's called the present. Well, we'll have to keep that line. At any rate, hello, Justin, and hello, Liz. Great to connect.
Hi.
Hi, Sue. And Justin, it's great to be back.
Yeah, same with you.
So here we go. It is the 28 degrees. We're going to be there until through the eclipses. Up until the eclipses between the two. It stays at that degree this year into the next. And it's in Sagittarius. Always searching for some kind of truth, whether it's your own or eternal. And here it is. It's quite a change, isn't it, from last year, which was in Scorpio. Totally, Sagittarius is about our belief systems and Jupiter expands things, whereas last year we were transforming a lot of actions, which is maybe one reason why we're shifting our panel idea. But any ideas for yourselves?
Well, like what Justin says from last month, Scorpio, that water going to fire, and I never remember the name, but Justin can tell us.
Oh, yes, that's right.
So it's actually not last year, but last month. And anytime planet goes from a water sign to a fire sign, it's called Gadanta. It's a spiritual knot because it creates an element of unstableness or chaos when a planet, any planet, ever goes from to water to fire. So it's a period just to be much more aware of how we're interacting with our environment and to be aware that things may be a little bit more disruptive.
Changing. Yes, that's a big element. It's like steamy. Very good. Thank you. So as we go into this month, it's right the new moon itself will be in about a week on the 19th. Today is the 14th. Well, that's 5 days from now. But it's only a couple of days before the winter solstice, which is another huge calendar. It's not just a calendar event. It's nature itself that is transforming, meaning that the information here today really might help invoke those intentions that we want to make with this cardinal action for the winter solstice, because it'll be at the crescent. And again, with this mutable energy of Sagittarius, there's quite a few planets or points. Black Moon Lilith is a point, but they're integral to how this Sagittarius energy is getting seeded. Liz, you want to talk a little?
Well, it just reminds me like having the last new moon of, the year basically, and then going into winter solstice so close together. And it feels really important, this Sagittarius new moon. It's like helping to shift the change, because being in water last month was an emotional moon, and now we're going into an action moon.
Yeah. What's interesting to me is that at 28 degrees, we've been experiencing this since November 20th, I think. And here it is, December, middle of December's, and we get a chance to kind of regroup and think, okay, how is our ego and emotions going, and particularly because Juno with our alliances, what are we married to? How do we want to, and with Venus, our values, what are we desiring, what attracting our attention? They always say energy follows where attention goes, and energy is, back and forth. And also our thoughts, Mercury, out of its path, it's no longer retrograde.
Yeah, it's building up speed again.
Yes. Well, okay. Well, that's another subject. Some archetypal thoughts, just trying to maybe probe a little bit into the meaningfulness. Zeus or Jupiter, Roman Greek. It was the king of the gods of the heavens. And his wife, Hera, or Juno, was his spouse, or the queen of gods. And she held marriage and childbirth and really focuses on our alliances and what's working for us in that way.
Right. And so for, maybe we should point out, because not everybody can see the screen, that we're talking here about Zeus as the head of the Greek gods, and Jupiter as far as Roman. And then Hera was Zeus's wife, and Juno was Jupiter's wife. So.
Yes. Thank you. Excellent. It's really, it is this big picture that Jupiter brings in, and it's a shapeshifter. And besides that, Sagittarius is mutable. Okay, we'll lead on. The Tarot here is a powerful...
that's associated with Jupiter and Sagittarius. We have the Wheel of Fortune for Jupiter and Temperance for Sagittarius. And the Wheel of Fortune talks about divine law, cycles, fate, and destiny, wisdom, and success. And Temperance is about balance, peace, patience, moderations, and alchemy.
It's interesting to me, just looking at this right now, I realize, okay, with Jupiter, it is some sense Jupiter is expansion, although it isn't necessarily here. It's just it cycles, and the destiny as it gets involved with that circular motion. Yet temperance is rather constrictive. I mean, in the sense that it's moderated. It isn't the extreme, so it's an interesting calibration of it, I suppose. Anyway, I don't know how that pieces in.
Well, no, I think that temperance is about balance. So in the cycles, it's asking us to not, there has to be some level of moderation in growth. That it can't, that there's temperance is about being moderate or balanced or patient.
Yes.
And so I think that's how it fits together.
Well, it's good energy. The numerology, once again, is 2, 8, adding to 10, which is 1. And just keep adding those up. However, 2 and 8 and 28 have some extra consciousness, they're factors involved in this way of understanding it, besides the fact of what planets are there. Of course, the sun and the moon. The sun is our ego, the moon is our emotional depth, and Uranus, that awakening impulse that brings us to the moment right now, however it might happen. So this, keeping with 1, it continues to have that focus of leadership, a new beginning as we start off our independence. But the 2 and the 8.
Well, the 2 is about polarity, duality, and relationship. And the 8 is about manifesting. But I always like to add in that there's work required to accomplish that manifestation. And then Justin added the 28, so I'll let him share about the 28.
Yeah, because the 2 represents polarity and relationship, and 8 is, of course, we know is the strength card in the tarot, but represents manifestation and ultimately expressing or manifesting something. That if we see this in a like, let's say a person's born on the 28th of the month, that they have that energy of that wanting to manifest good success with relationships or relationship with their world or however. So it's that's how it can play out with relationships.
That's fascinating. I was just thinking of the degrees, like we round them off sometimes, like it's 27, but with the minutes it could be 28. So I was just thinking of my own Mars and Taurus at 27, blah, blah, blah. And so that's rather an interesting addition to add into looking at the characteristics of a planet that as a goal, as an aim related to good relationships is very helpful and positive if you can manage it. It's because here we have, at least for all of us, speaking in Sagittarius, it really is, how are we forming these belief patterns as we expand, remembering that temperance of moderation, because everything has its pros and cons.
And from learning through those beliefs, it's like, to still stay in balance with whatever those beliefs are.
Yeah, and to use our resources. I like that idea of Uranus is still now retrograding in its past 7-year cycle of Taurus, because as we know, these late degrees are soon, with 2026 going to return into a new cycle. So we have a chance to regroup and figure out what resources do we have to bring into this picture of beliefs. Justin, please.
Yeah, so then we look at the Jyotish Nakshatras or lunar mansions. Of course, we know lunar mansions are also looked at within Western astrology, but for the purpose of the show, we look at the Eastern one, and so then the Nakshatras. And so if we go to the next slide, so for this particular new moon, the sun and the moon are both in the Nakshatra or lunar mansion of Mula in the second Pada, which is ruled by Earth. And so this is a lunar mansion with a theme of getting deep down to the roots. That's why the symbol is reticulated roots. It's about getting down to the root of things. And the goddess that rules this lunar mansion is Nuruti, which was the goddess of dissolution and destruction. So that's why the basis above or below is really to break and crush, or that's the Shakti power, to break and crush. And of course, the ruling planet, of course, is Ketu, which is chaos. And the southern node is a chaotic. And so it's very creative in this particular pada, which is ruled by Earth. And it likes to dig deep to find. And so it's trying to always find value in belief systems. So if we kind of overlay this on what's kind of going on with us, like say, for example, somebody has a planet in this is the way they are. They're able to just say, okay, time to clear the stuff off the chessboard, start over. And it's really about, they're good at research. And so this is a time where we are seeing dissolution. We're at the end of the year. And because Sagittarius is a mutable sign, of course, we know it's mutable because in medieval astrology, it was the changing of seasons. So a sign where season change was mutable. And so this is definitely a period of change. And this is a good time to get down and really assess what's valuable in our belief systems, and to let go of what we don't see as valuable anymore.
That corresponds absolutely perfectly with everything we've said. I mean, the idea of the values going into new belief systems. And what comes to mind is, when you cook, I don't know if your folks ever had a motar, one of those, my mother had this little bowl, and you'd it has a name to it, the stem, not the system or something, and you'd put herbs in it and you'd mash it around, right, Liz, and then you'd cook, and so you're like crushing the herbs and whatnot. This is before, I think, so many ground herbs were sold in the market, and you'd get them whole, or you'd get the seeds, or maybe you'd collect them, and you'd mash it all up. So it is this process of
the mortar and the pestle. I think that's how you, yeah.
Yes, thank you. That's right. Well, this is beautiful. Reticulated roots. That's a new word. I like that. I know you like words. What does reticulated?
Well, it's intertwined. That's what that means. They're intertwined.
Entangled.
Reticulated is intertwined roots.
Oh, boy, I like it. I don't always learn new words. Okay. Well, we have Sabian Symbols. Medium, spiritualist medium Elsie Wheeler, astrologer Mark Edmund Jones, created this 1925. It's a mystical imagery set. It's a tool. Many astrologers use it. And we're using a narrative story looking at the past, present, and future and interpreting it. For this 28 degrees Sagittarius New Moon happening on December 19th, and for Eastern Standard Time, it's in the afternoon or evening, 8 p.m., 8:43, and 4 seconds afterwards. So if your software isn't quite showing it up at 8:43, you got to go 4 seconds ahead. The ascendant for Eastern Time is at 18. So we will look at 17, 18, and 19 in Leo. That's ruled by the sun. And the MC, Eastern Time, is in Taurus. And that's at 10. So we'll be at 9, 10, 11 Taurus. And the sun and moon itself being at 28 degrees Sagittarius, we will do 27, 28, 29. So looking at the ascendant first, in order to look at this chart that represents really the United States, that's where our capital is, and up in Canada too. Their capital is in the eastern part of the zone. And we'll weave these together as far as intention. But the past, before the degree before we're looking at, would be at 17 degrees. It's a volunteer church choir singing religious hymns about togetherness or an ideal. Go ahead, Liz.
And then the present degree, Leo 18, A chemist conducts an experiment for his students. So they're looking into the hidden process of nature, and the key word is alchemy, and we use that for our tarot card today too. So I like that.
Mm.
And then what we're moving towards is a houseboat party, Leo 19 degrees. And here we see the enjoyment from and sense of freedom from rigid structures and social behavior. So it's freedom from any type of social adherence to social standards or norms or rigidity.
Boy, this really seems to tie together the whole idea of the mutable fire sign of being together, the changes that happen just because you know each other. And I mean, just on our mundane level to understand. And then therefore it becomes, because it's Leo too, a party. Amazing. It's a houseboat. A houseboat that's on water, right? Seattle has a lot of houseboats. Always fascinated by that. So you kind of let loose a little bit from that, but that's where, as an energy, our ascendant energy is trying to refocus. Thank you if you had any comments. Well, with doing the MC, that's at the top in Taurus, Liz, you want to start us off?
Yes, the degree leading up is Taurus 9, a fully decorated Christmas tree to create inner happiness in dark hours. And the key word is faith in cyclic renewal.
Yeah.
And again, that goes right back to the tarot with the Jupiter, right?
Yes, the cycle.
Oh, yes. And faith. Well, I don't know if faith, but a little bit trust or something. Fascinating. Taurus is fixed. So here we have at 10 degrees, a Red Cross nurse. These are all pretty succinct. You know, sometimes they ramble on forever, but these are like pretty pointed. And it is Taurus. It's like, hey, I put my spirit into matter and there it is, I guess. So it's a compassionate involvement linking everybody, and it's a consecration to or of humanity. I'm not quite sure how to understand that, but lead on, Justin.
Yeah, and then what we're moving towards here is Taurus 11 for the midheaven, of course, a woman watering flowers in her garden. And really it's about cultivation, or the concept that and when we want to start something new, and because midheaven does represent sort of what we're trying to ultimately, with that pinnacle, accomplish, we have to cultivate things. And so it's the development of the powers of mind on which ego consciousness is based.
Well, I almost have echo there, huh? I misspelled it. The G, there's an extra C. It should be ego. Yes, thank you. Well, amazing how it happens to be Christmas right now, but okay, I guess we'll lead on.
Well, both the ascendant and the midheaven talked about, in my opinion, of gathering together, that it's important at this time.
Which is similar to, actually, in a different way, different purpose with the ascendant, isn't it? They're changing and trying to gather their energies, kind of like to break down the social part. But here, it's more purposeful, perhaps, which relates a lot to Taurus, you know, to cultivate those ego consciousness. Thank you. Finally, this is good for everybody anywhere that you happen to be listening to, and in your own chart to notice where this 28 degree Sagittarius Sun Moon is sitting, because this is at 28 degrees, but we're starting off with the past, which is at 27. A sculptor, very physical, at his work. This idea, though, to project visions and give form to what we're wanting to manifest. And so it's self-projection as we work.
And in the present degree, Sagittarius 28, an old bridge over a beautiful stream is still in constant use. So enduring elements in a society, and it links individuals to the everyday needs of the collective. And the key word is the beautiful necessity.
Yeah, and then the future one, Sagittarius, is a fat boy mowing the lawn of his house on an elegant servant street. And I think sometimes this is also read as riding a hobby horse. Here we have the need to attend to everyday tasks, which both ensure social worth or respectability and benefits one's constitution. And so the word here is social respectability.
That's an interesting growth process. Somehow, as the sun moon, which is powerfully involving this whole chart, trying to understand if you're working and trying to manifest, you're still using, I guess, something to link it together in a great way, but somehow, I guess the purpose of all that, or the key, is that benefit, because if it's social respectability, maybe it helps you evolve with society, that party you're having. Yeah. Help me out. Any feedback?
Well, it's like, even though we're going through changes, it's like we still have to attend to the everyday tasks or weekly tasks that need attention. We can't just let them go.
Oh, it's so true. Thank you.
Yep, I agree.
Well put. Thank you, Liz. Okay. I think we are going to take a moment to get away, but we'll be right back. So it's a bit of a little break. You can get some water, a cup of coffee, whatever, let the dog out or in, who knows. But come back. We'll be happy to see you, and we'll finish up with really what is this chart connecting us with. Thanks. While we take a break from this week's edition of Talk Cosmos, let's take a look at this cycle's archetype. We are currently in the Yang period of Sagittarius, ruled by the largest of all planets, Jupiter, the Roman god, or Zeus by the ancient Greeks. By leaving a cycle based on power and powerlessness, of life and death and regeneration, involving committed relationships, Sagittarius energy finds meaning for an expanded perspective and potential for actualization in their search for truth. As a mutable fire sign depicted by the centaur, Sagittarius is adventurous and seeks the beyond. Sagittarius travels to far places, physically and mentally, to find the truths of life.
This is psychological astrologer Dr. Now.Chat. Please join me, Michelle Fleming, and Edja Caleb February 21st through the 28th for Evolutionary Training's annual Goddess Awakening Retreat in Playa El Coco, Nicaragua. Enjoy daily yoga, well-being workshops, melt classes, baby sea turtles, and more. To register, go to mythicsky.com.
Talk Cosmos brings insightful conversations to awaken consciousness for the soul growth with hour-long programs. Talk Cosmos weekly programs are also available to watch live on the Talk Cosmos YouTube channel and Facebook page. While you're there, make sure you click the like and subscribe buttons so you get the full Talk Cosmos experience. Or if you'd rather listen to the show archives with audio only, the entire podcast collection since 2018 is available on most podcast carriers. And to find out about upcoming programs, sign up for the newsletter at talkcosmos.com. So grab your coffee, tea, or kombucha and enjoy the show.
This is Martha Norwalk. Every Sunday morning, beginning at 9 a.m., thanks in part to the Ananda Institute of Living Yoga, we cover the world of animals. This week, December 21st, it's our Christmas show and Behavior Training and Healing Sunday with me, and talk with your human or animal loved ones on this side or the other, and personal readings with Natasha Venter. Hope you can call us with your questions for either one of us. And we'll be singing Christmas carols with the Jingle Cats, Martha Norwalk's Animal World, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. to noon, right here on Alternative Talk, AM 1150.
Want to hear something different from talk radio? Keep your dial on Alternative Talk 1150.
Okay. Our guests here, Elizabeth Liz Mouchette at A Light Path, and she has a YouTube channel at Elizabeth Liz Mouchette. Justin Crockett Elsie at his website, which is his name, JustinCrockettElsie.com, and his YouTube.com at Astrological Yogi. Myself, Sue Rose Minahan, Talk Cosmos. And Liz, love to hear about your YouTube.
Well, I have a variety of shows. I have a show called the Astrology Star Sisters, and Sue's on there a few times a year, and a number of other astrologers that we have lots of topics. Justin joins me for a few shows each month. And so I look forward to having you come and check my channel out. And like Justin and Sue, I'm a consulting astrologer.
Yes. In fact, I will add a little bit to that in a moment when it comes to me. Justin, yes.
So I'm an archetypal Jyotish astrologer. So I combine both Western and Jyotish or Vedic astrology. And I also do consultations. And I also write a weekly horoscope for the Port Townsend Leader here on the Olympic Peninsula, the newspaper. And you can catch me at my YouTube channel and at Astrological Yogi.
Fantastic. For Talk Cosmos, what I wanted to add is that Liz and I are preparing winter solstice with dwarfs. We have an update idea. It's just a matter of when this coming week we're going to be able to get it out. So that'll be happening on my channel and hers. On my channel, it's under playlist videos featuring Sue Rose Minahan. As far as our weekly events that have happened, there's several that are current. There was just one last week on Jupiter square Chiron, which is powerful. Jupiter's really a mover shaker this year and next year. But next week will be the solstice, and we're going to have more of a conversation when we do that, involving what the 3-month consciousness really wants to tell us. It's so revealing in that particular language of vibrational astrology. You don't have to know vibrational astrology. You can just understand what the messages are, just like if it was Sabian Symbols. And actually, Linda involves those too. And at the end of the year, it's like my way of telling folks, okay, what 2026 is going to be your best medicine. We have a little more to it. It'll be with Melissa Elvira Billington. And of course, you will be hearing Liz and Justin. We're going to work on our 6 events. And I think maybe it'll start off in January if we can work it out. So they're not going far away, I hope. Besides, they're on their channel too. So let's find out. Oh, and there is a sponsored announcement. Dr. Tad has created a moon journal, which is very interesting with all the moon energies. And you can go to her website at Mythic Sky and find out about that. Well, here we are. The adventures, the solar sun and the moon. You haven't seen this particular one. I just created it. We're discovering new beliefs and values with the Sagittarius sunlight. Look at this. Where's that bridge going across the water? I just love it. Well, there's a few planets left retrograde. Not too many. The major ones is still Jupiter and Uranus, along with a pair that are still quite tightly moving together, Chiron and Eris in Eris. And we have some out of bounds. Justin, you want to lead us off with this crew, the moon and Mars, besides Hygeia?
Well, just really the concept is when a planet's out of bounds, it acts not normal. I mean, it's going to, like we're looking at that Sabian symbol about freedom from social rigidity or social behavior, that you can put the planet there if it's out of bounds, that it's acting outside the normal bounds of the way it'll react. So if you have a moon in Sagittarius near these degrees, you may feel at this particular point in time, or if you have Mars in near these degrees, you may take action outside the norm, or a little bit more of a risk taker, and your emotions may be a little bit up and down. So it's just something to be aware of when these planets are not acting typically. I liked how you put their archetypal behavior without constraints.
Yes, and I wish I would have put the degrees that they were in. That was a good point. I did not. So we'll have to, of course, we know the moon is at 28 degrees, and Hygeia has been out of bounds just for so long. Mars jumping around. It's Liz, did you have some thoughts?
No, I thought you guys did it really well.
Yeah.
I do want to point out, since you brought up the other two, so we look at the moon as our emotions, Mars is about how we take action. So those things for at the collective is going to be affecting people's emotions and how we take actions at this point, but more so if they're in, you know, that moon, if you have a natal moon in Sagittarius, a progressed moon in Sagittarius, or your natal Mars, progressed Mars in Capricorn. But the fact that you brought up Hygeia, I want to point that out because Hygeia in Cancer is about the health of emotions. And so I think we're going through a period where we're having to really be aware of the health of our emotional state. And then, of course, Black Moon Lilith in Sagittarius is about, the difficulty with beliefs. Generally, if a person has Black Moon Lilith in Sagittarius in their natal chart, there's some issue earlier on in their childhood around belief systems. And maybe sometimes a little bit more rigid belief systems. And again, back to Sabian Symbols, about some freedom from rigidity. So liberation of the Black Moon Lilith and Sagittarius is about a liberation from unhealthy belief systems. I should put it like that, unhealthy belief systems. What do you think, Liz?
Well, I agree, because it's like you could have been raised a certain way and never experienced other ways. And so now you're learning about other ways when you grow up. And it's like, well, maybe that wasn't such a bad thing, but life in the world has changed so much. Maybe it's okay now. So,
And I'm really glad to have this expanded because they work together so well. When I think of the moon and Mars cuts away because it's doing an action, so it's headed somewhere, and particularly, well, not so much in Capricorn, which is Earth. It's trying to ground, but it's still grounded and it's moving away, meaning that it could be moving away into what it wants to experience. I'm tying together kind of what you've said, but maybe shifting a certain thought. Is it deconditioning? I think that's the word, because Capricorn often gets conditioned through traditions, through time, its longevity. And there comes a point when that isn't working. That template that's set up, perhaps we've embraced because we've been schooled in that idea, or society but it's not our nature. So to be true to our emotions and healthy, and to feel that joy again, which is inherent in the basic premise. I mean, plants don't grow because they're unhappy. A happy plant grows.
I want to put an opposite or an aspect of this, that sometimes stability and being grounded is a positive thing, because too much chaos, and we see sometimes too much chaos in systems leads to destruction. And so chaos and anxiety and always never being grounded and never having that quiet internal reflection if it's too chaotic energy. So I think there's a balance between these two, between the fixed and the mutable, that says, hey, there's a middle road to where you can have change, but that, again, like the Temperance card, it's done with patience and moderation, versus chaotic growth that creates, that destroys. No, and not all destruction is good.
Absolutely. No, I think I agree with you that Mars is really trying to restructure through a positive, going ahead. I mean, somehow, but by releasing what is making, because Hygeia is purity and toxicity. So what has been toxic, and good, excellent, growing on, good. I like it. Then here's a chart. We only have a few actual charts with this one. The sun's ruling the ascendant, 18 degrees Leo. And in the new moon, Juno, representing what we're married to, our alliances, is only 2 degrees from the sun. So it's pretty well conjunct. And, but this energy is mostly making action red, where there is an opposition it's from vibrationally. Anyway, it's observing, and it's working, it's adjusting, anyway, it's adjustments and actions. I could go on. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Liz. I see you're about ready to say something. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that this new moon is square to Saturn and Neptune and opposite Hygeia, for those that are just listening so that they can see. And it is also square to Ceres, too. It's within that range. So it's like there's a lot of action, and you could say that all makes a T-square. So, it has some tension, and, the opposition with Hygeia, it's like you can see each other, but the square sometimes you can't see very well. So Saturn, Neptune, and Ceres are that T-square point. So it's like, okay, the structure with Saturn, the ideas with Neptune, and Ceres, like, how do we nurture ourselves and grief and sorrow? It's like we're probably processing a lot of that at this time.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think it's important, if you can see the screen, that it's important to stellium, that's sort of what's happening, the stellium there. And with Lilith, it's about, just we're apt to see people go even more outside the bounds with belief systems right now. And because Mercury's right there, a very independent thinking, and Venus is right there. Juno, which is relationships, is right there. Sun and Moon and Mars. So the stellium of lineup of planets is really about expansion here. But I love how the graphic shows how that expansion is affecting the other planets in the sky. So, there's the square, of course, you said, to the Saturn Neptune theme, which is, some difficulty, can be some struggles or challenges in the collective. Neptune's a collective planet, and Saturn represents boundaries and obstacles, and that inconjunct or imbalance of needing realignment with Uranus. And of course, we know that's triangulating Pluto, so that's also bringing part of the change. And something that's interesting is because Mercury is actually trining the nodes here, I think that strengthens Mercury's role with changing our thinking right now. So
yeah, actually, it's square the nodes. I got it.
Well, actually, it's, you're right. It is square.
That's
sorry.
all right. That's
so
all right.
It's changing our thinking. It is changing our thinking. Yeah, it is changing our thinking. I was thinking.
No, it's okay. No,
how it's actually that stellium is actually trining Ceres and Chiron, and the ascendant there for this one. So
yeah, we'll lead on with some more, but it's hard. It's so connected, as always, and everything is, but that's why. But what I love here is this idea that with Saturn and Neptune, as they're working, they're still in Pisces, they're direct, they're moving towards February 20th when they're conjunct. And, I just heard from Aunt Ortley, because I part of her Patreon thing, that someone named Pam Gallagher, I'm not aware of, I think that's her name, that the last time we had them conjunct in Eris was 7,000 BC. That's 9,000 years ago. This is mega huge change. And what is it asking? At that time, it was a lot to do about we're leaving nomadic to agriculture, and there was tools, and there was ownership of family. You began to realize that people were kind of settling down, and that children had fathers instead of not understanding that process, meaning that now we're in a new sense of identity leading forward. And I strongly am eager to always bring forth the idea that who's our new partner? It is the source, because we're dissolving. I'm remembering that with the Vedic, it very much said, look at our values, all of this with dissolving things. And so, yes, we are dissolving structures, but you have to something replaces it. And it's this new, it's not new. it's never new, but yet our consciousness as a society hasn't always written that down in your homework. So there, I hope that made some good sense. I see you smiling, Liz. Go ahead.
At the 0 point, and in Eris, the first sign, it's like it feels like a big new beginning, new initiation, a new start. It feels exciting.
Yes. Here we have the action squares now that we alluded to, and I put them in different colors. There's 3 T-squares where the one that's squaring it would be Mercury to the nodes, Neptune to the sun, moon, and whatever they're conjunct to, which happens to be Juno and Hygeia, 2 asteroids of our partnership and toxicity or purity. And then Ceres, who's really a dwarf planet. I was just listening to Louise Eddington, who's very definite about this, and I like it. An inner missing planet, although on a dwarf. At any rate, she's squaring our actions with this of trying to find the toxicity and purity. So with that said, I know you'll both add more points. Go ahead.
Well, without even diving into each one individually, with that many T-squares, that just means be aware that there could be some tension and friction in your life or around you, and to work through it. It's asking us all to make changes. So breathe deeply and, take your time going through all that. So go ahead, Justin.
No, I wouldn't add anything more than you already did, Liz.
Well, I will say that this is for growth. And just like a seed needs to push against the earth to break through the horizon, it can have tensions. Yet, as we know, it's always that push-pull, how much tension, because without some kind of music, even if you don't have any tension between the chords, it gets kind of boring after a while. It needs to have that resolution. And here, I'm thinking it's pretty optimistic in a way. It tends more towards the optimism. Not to say that that's all glory and beauty, but Mercury is really thinking hard, along with Jupiter, how to redesign, how to, bringing in, thankfully, it has Mars still in Capricorn, as we brought out. So at any rate, that's my
I'm excited to see what is birthing, and that doesn't mean a physical child. It could be a physical child, but birthing, new ideas and new businesses and new ways of being.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to play a little bit of the devil's advocate here, because if you look at this from a higher cycle perspective with mundane astrology, let's look back in history. We didn't learn from the Trojan Wars. We didn't learn from the Napoleonic Wars. We didn't learn from the any wars that you could see in history. We're still initiating wars, right? We're starting, and there's a cyclic aspect to that. And so there's times when humanity regresses, and it's not a positive thing. Yeah, we see the change, but it's a regression. And I think that's something to be aware of right now, that it's not all pie in the sky and perfect, that there is a little bit of regression within society. We're going back towards a more racist view within our collective. And that's a regression. But it's a change of cycle. It's a change of a cycle. And we're being asked to reevaluate what's valuable. So I think that's kind of important, that we don't let go of what we feel is valuable in the new cycle, so that we don't regress and we don't learn from the past.
I love that. I love that. Thank you. I really love seeing the whole package. That spells out what Jupiter is doing. That is ruling or governing this new moon, because that's Sagittarius Jupiter. Jupiter is in this tension square of activating with these awesome energies of Chiron, of our wounds, that's trying to alchemize, and Eris, the disruptor, that wants to be included. That's what's excluded, and they're in Aries of identity. So yes, what you're saying is absolutely the truth of what we're
and Jupiter's in Cancer, which is tribal.
Oh,
so there's
yeah.
this wound of tribalism with and there is a connection with racism and in the US chart with Chiron and Eris. So there's that square, and
Yep.
that's who's valued. Chiron's asking Jupiter who's valued in the family, and Jupiter's in Cancer trying to determine that, but it's retrograding right now, right? So
Yeah.
there's something to be aware of.
The good news is, again, because this takes time to dissolve. I'm remembering that they're in Pisces, both Saturn and Neptune. But then again, we have Nutriti. Is that it? Neruti. That is dissolving.
Nirruti in Sanskrit.
Yeah, so there we go. It's like, okay, folks, that's how you feel, but how is that working for you? Anyway, let's see what will go on. Thank you for that very much. There is a few flowing energies. We have this ongoing mini grand trine. It's not so tight right now, but it's still exerting some influence. And that happens to be between Uranus and Pluto, which will be perfecting their trine come next summer. So we're in this wonderful mix. And depending on the orb, it was going to be between 24 and 29. So it's huge. And it's really changing because remember back in the 60s, about 64, 65, 66, they were conjunct in Virgo, which many people have that signature. And then at the beginning, 2012 to 15, they were square. And that was the Arab Spring and etc. Now they're in that trine relationship, but sitting right in the middle, and this is long because they're all very slow, is the conjunction that we're waiting for, this 9,000 year connection again in Aries of Saturn, Neptune. So that's always sitting in the back to mention. But in the meantime, Jupiter that was in angst with our wounds and inclusion is actually very harmonious with Saturn. Did I say enough? We want to go on?
Well, I will say something about the Uranus-Neptune cycle just for a second, that if you look at the change that happened right there in the 60s with the change from a big cultural change with the conjunction. And now that relationship is now in a trine. And a trine can be an easy flow for positive or negative. So it's like, where's things going to flow now? And so you could look back at some of the changes. That was the civil rights movement back then in the 60s. And now we're seeing it's flowing differently. There's a flow differently here between the two planets. And so it's making some adjustments or changes from the original 60s. So it's just something to be aware of, that's why we're feeling a lot of this change, is because of the trining of these two planets, Uranus and Pluto.
Yeah, refocusing new creativity. Thank you for that.
Liz was ready to say something.
Oh, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Trine is going to be in effect all of 26 and part of 27.
That's what I was saying.
Be around for a while.
Yeah, all the way to 29, depending on how you look at it. The galactic center is conjunct this moon. It's a 1 degree orb. And here we only have a few minutes, and I'll give a little, you can look at this graph later. And it happens every year around between the 18th and 20th, but it's heightened clarity. It's universal truth. That is the signature of Jupiter to begin with. And so there's metaphysical meanings. It's a gateway. It's our evolution of human consciousness. And here I added this, you two didn't see it, but transits, it's very important because it's a point. You don't have to have planets directly in that sign. It just sits there like the lunar nodes or Black Moon Lilith in your chart. And wherever it is, when transits come along, like particularly this time of year, the sun always does, and of course the personal planets will too at some point, it activates. And therefore, it's a cosmic wake-up call. And our spiritual energies of that planet, thinking that this galactic center, how do we understand it? It is so far away. It's not something that's touchy-feely. And the house is important. So with that, do you have any, I know this is the final end, and I appreciate, Justin's looking.
Well, it's been a good run.
Yeah, how do we work
I'm out.
Next year.
Yeah, on to next year. I have so appreciated this whole dimension, understanding the moon. It's not totally going away, but what I'm really excited, I think, is what Liz was mentioning, is that between the yin and the yang of like, how are we taking some seeds of thought and kind of, we're going to mash them together, break them down and recreate. Think so? Anyway.
Yes. So we'll see you next year.
We still need to hold on to what's valuable, though.
Yes. Oh, thank you. I needed a closer. That's it.
Thank you for joining an insightful conversation on Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Rose Minahan and her panel of guests awaken consciousness by connecting soul growth patterns with astrology's energetic cycles. Be sure to tune in next week, same time, same place, to continue your journey through the roots of the cosmic pathway.